All right, hello everybody. It is Wednesday, July 20th already. Man, summer's flying by. And thanks for joining us for this week's Tech Talk. We're here to talk about your favorite subject and mine, Jeeping. Obviously, I've got Jeff Perkins here with me today. We're going to talk about lights. And we're going to talk about everything associated with lights, rock lights, tail lights, headlights. Right now, Jamie's flashing us with his
as we get blinded by Jamie's lights.
Yeah, we've got a lot of different topics on lights, and going to go over what you need to know about them and how to choose them. If you'd like to ask a question, please go ahead and just type it in as a comment. Debbie is here to read the questions, and we will try and answer those for you. If you haven't already signed up for our newsletter, please do. We send that out once a month. We don't totally bomb you. Well, we don't share it with anybody else. So I suggest you sign up for that. We put a lot of good information in there. We also talk about our upcoming runs and other specials that we might have.
The rare case we have a sale, that's where you're going to find out.
That's where you're going to find out, yeah. And then, of course, go over to YouTube and subscribe to the GenRight Off-Road YouTube channel. Because there's a ton of videos over there that I'm sure you'll like to see. And then if you're happy with our product, go over to our website and post a product review. I'd really appreciate that. Just a simple 1 or 2 sentence thing would be fine. And if you don't see what you're looking for, call the guys like Jeff that are sitting there and ready to help you. We call them build specialists over there to help you work through the parts you need. All right, let's talk rock lights. Or Deb, anybody notable on so far?
Well, of course. We've got Esther Parrott-Newcomb, Anthony Paquette, Mike
Regulars.
Sage, Josh Nasser. Hope you're feeling better, Josh.
Yeah.
Kevin Kerwin, Brian Smith, VB Tom, Mark Lawrence, Don Cars, and the one and only Kelly Sims.
All right, Big Kel. I
Kel.
talked to him earlier today. I tried to get him up here for the show. So unsuccessful, of course. But he's watching, so that's cool. All right. On the topic of rock lights, there are, and between Jeff and I, we can hold up a couple different ones. There's a lot of different ones, you know, and maybe, is Alex zoomed in on this? A lot of different styles, right? So there's all kinds of them, and they have different wattages. Everything we're showing you today is LED, and what I want to talk about is like a flood versus a spot. And there is such a thing, by the way, as too bright of a rock light. So if you get too crazy bright, what's going to happen is it's going to create a hot spot, and I've got a couple slides here to show you. Oh, actually, we're skipping ahead. I did want to tell everybody that this is the first of the production roll cages going in our JL roll cage going in today, and fit perfectly. Everything was great. So we're getting ready to release those. So for everybody who's waiting for one of those, that's good news. All right, rock lights. So here's a perfect example of what I would call the wrong kind of light. It's in the wrong spot. So, you know, this poor guy, if he's trying to get on a rock or a root or something over here, his tire and everything around it is completely dark. So he's got great light under here, but they're kind of spotty. I would prefer more of a flood.
You can't really see them from inside.
You can't see that at all, yeah. So it's just throwing some ambient light. So that's not a very good example. Let's take a look at another one. Here's a better example, but look at the giant shadow right here, which is where you're gonna need light. So it's not just about throwing these things underneath your Jeep, but these are much better floodlights. You can see they're less spotty and looking a lot better. Now, you know, if this guy needed to take off the wheel and work on the brakes, that's a great light. You know, he's gonna be stoked right there, but I try not to do that when I'm out on the trail.
You have to sometimes.
Especially at night. Okay, this is better. This is looking better. You're getting a little bit more light out here so the guy can see where his tire is going. That's pretty bright. So although the distribution of light is good, it's a nice flood pattern. I just want you to be cognizant of this and you know, really kind of focus on what this looks like. And then we're going to show you a few different lights here and talk about placement. Of course, you know, here's the Vision X light, which is some of the lights we're showing you. today, and pretty good setup there where you can see all around the vehicle quite well. So Jeff, let's show them some of these. Let's start with our really low wattage guy. Oh, that one came off, so you're gonna have to do the double hold here. So this is a 3-watt floodlight, and here I can hold the light itself.
Right.
And this is very inexpensive. I think it's like 20 bucks for the pair. They're easy to mount. It's just a stud style mount, and these throw off a really nice light all around. I don't know if they can see on the whiteboard, but kind of a nice pattern. So again, inexpensive, decent way to go. All right, so let's show them kind of the next step. Let's do this one.
Hey, Tone, can you reposition your mic? We're getting some interruption on it. Maybe it's rubbing on your neck.
I don't know, I've had trouble with this pluggy thing. Any better?
We'll see what they say.
See what they say.
Oh, we have our first question that I totally anticipated coming.
Yeah?
Should I do lights or lockers first?
Depends on how much shopping they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely lockers.
If they do a lot of shopping, lights first.
Yeah, if they're just at the mall, lights are fine.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's try this next one. Now this is a brighter, this is a 10 watt. This can be used as a backup light, a rock light, and you can see, look at the pattern this is going to throw out. It's much more distinct, and it's wide angle. So look here, this is sideways on the light, and it's just almost right in front of the light. So really nice dome on the light, and that'll give you a nice pattern.
Yeah, and if you have our JK rear bumper, these are probably your backup lights.
Yeah. So, and all of these lights, by the way, can be used as cargo lights, work lights, docking lights, whatever, interior lights, whatever you want, right? So let's try this one. This is both Jeff and my favorite light here.
Yes.
And this is the Vision X Pod. So you can see this has got a frosted lens. This is also made out of polycarbonate, which is the strongest, that's considered bulletproof. This light has 3M sticky on the back so you can get it in the right spot and then screw it on or rivet it on, whatever you want to do. Throws the best light all around. And these work virtually in any condition. Interior, rock lights, whatever. Yeah, I mean, look at it, just lights the whole board. There's not even like a pattern on there. So
it's a lot more mellow.
Yeah.
Still bright.
But broad and flood.
And this one's not really that harsh on your eyes at night.
Yeah.
Which is super nice.
Which
Doesn't
is super
mess with your eyes.
Yeah. So some of the other lights we had, Jeff, were like these smaller ones that are kind of pre-wired. So a lot of the time we use these as like side marker lights or something else, but some people like them. They're super small, they're easy to mount. Some people like them as interior lights or even under lights for rock lights. So you'd be amazed when there's no moon, it doesn't take much light to see. So try the red ones because some people actually prefer the red. And we do offer this size in a clear too. So also very subtle, can be a nice interior light. So, but also a rear side marker light as well. And these are sold in pairs. Actually, almost everything here on the table is sold in pairs. So any questions on the lights so far, Deb?
No, not so
Doing
far,
okay?
but everybody loves Jeff's shirt. They
Forgot I was wearing the Jeepers
want to know where
shirt.
they can get one.
Yeah, that's.
I told them it's a limited edition Jeepers
you
Jamboree.
have to go to Jeepers, yeah. Okay, so then let's talk about placement. So if I back up, on a bumper like this that has an angle on it, I actually like to put a rock light right there and get it to shine down around the front tire. So just think about it, what you want to see when you're out wheeling, and don't be afraid to move those lights around and drill some holes.
Yeah.
So.
And something like this bumper is a perfect platform to actually drill and flush mount it.
Yeah, so that works out pretty good, especially with these stud style lights. It's just really nice. Okay, so we're gonna keep moving through then. All right. Next, this is one of Jeff's favorite lights right here.
It is.
So I refer to this as the bumper light category. Now, obviously within bumpers, there's a ton of different lights. But I'm going to tell you this. I am not a fan of the A-pillar lights. I like it down because it just lights the hood. So to me, this is where you need that light out front.
Yeah, it's out front. You don't get as much reflection. You don't see much immediate dust as you do with the A-pillar
Yeah.
right there. And honestly, on trails, it's not near as vulnerable as an A-pillar.
As
light.
A-pillar, right. So you've got this one, and I think the next picture is actually it on your Jeep.
Yeah.
So there you go. And you can see how it's shining down under the dust,
Yep.
even compared to your headlights.
Yeah, and that amber I don't think I've ever had the actual LED on. It wasn't the amber. The amber is just a game changer.
Is
It
what
does.
works, yeah.
Just
And I
cuts
can
through.
see you coming
Yeah.
as well. So if you're behind me, it's super obvious, even over the headlights. Oh, Deb's got a question.
Let's see. Doyle Bartlett has a question. He's asking how many rock lights we have on the Vision X Jeep.
I think that's 8. I think they're running 4, 6. Yeah, should be 8.
That might have been the tantrums.
It might have been. It might have been. They offer one that's in between. We didn't have any in stock, but it's a more affordable kit. I think the whole kit's like $149.
So 8 total?
So 8 total. That's normal. 4 on the sides, 2 in the front, 2 in the back. So, anything else you wanted to say about this? And we have one here. Let's try it. Let's show people.
We're going to be able to?
Yeah. We just hold the wires on the. It's not too sketchy. Yeah, you might want to not blind everybody. And you got the switch. There you go.
Yep.
Okay, let's make some sparks.
Boom.
Tone BKTJ is asking how do the amber lights help compared to white?
They're less reflective. So it's where the white light just lights up the fog, or like the dust, just like fog, you know. So yeah, this is a really bright light. I don't know what they rate this at, but that's all the light you need.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You can't, like when you shine that at the camera, you can't even see.
They make that 3 versions. They make the race amber.
Yeah, which
regular
is
amber.
actually
That's the race amber.
that's the race amber. So here you go.
Yeah, and then also just white.
Math doesn't
Or
work.
flood and then a spot.
What's the difference between the standard and the race?
That's what your dad said.
Brighter?
The race is brighter, and the non-race is a little more flood patterned.
Ah, gotcha. Okay, and we have these on our website.
Correct.
Yeah. So I know you're happy with it. I think this one is Jamie's, so he just hasn't put it on yet.
I want the amber.
I would like one of these. I don't have one
I want
either.
the amber one. That
Yeah.
one doesn't have amber.
So I have the small round lights on both Terremoto and my JL with the built-in blinkers, you know, the amber blinkers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
Optimus.
John Miller's asking if the Vision X amber is a filter or is the lamp amber?
that one,
On this, the lamp is amber.
yeah.
On a lot of the other brands, they use the same light and they put a amber cover on.
On it, yeah, and that cuts the light down
Quite a bit.
Yeah, Joe was telling me that, so it's a big difference. So, yep. And then, then we could talk about these Unite lights. So Jordan
These are
chooses
actually
to
really
run.
cool.
Yeah, these are cool. We don't have the extrusion that they hook to, but you get the idea on Jordan's car there. But this light, can you see this, Alex? Has a cutout in it, and it slides on a piece of extrusion. So you can literally just stack on as many of these lights as you want in different combinations, and they have that plug that puts them together.
Yeah. So you can do that, stack as many as you want. So you could have 2 spotlights on front, 2 in the middle, 2 floodlights out here, and then 2 ambers on the far outside.
Yeah, is this an amber?
And you could wire them however you want. So you can pretty much cover all bases.
There's an amber.
Yep.
So it's pretty cool. Now this has like a flood style lens, and these have the dark lenses. So it's a really unique way to build lights, and it works really well. So
And plus, you can play with the space you have.
yes, yeah.
Jeff, Michael Cottle is asking if you're running just one.
One.
Yeah, I'm just running
On the-
headlights and then one shocker.
This
12-inch
one.
lights
Yeah,
on
that
the
is
back.
one.
And that is more than enough light.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And a lot of the driving we do, as you can see that picture, we're out in the dust. So having the right lights is really important. And that's part of what we were talking about today.
An amber light, once we leave from camp at the Hammers, we tell everybody to turn the headlights on.
Yeah.
And the amber guys with the amber lights, I feel
Yeah.
a lot safer than even just a headlight.
Yeah. Yep. So even during the day, having the right lights is important out there. Okay, so we talked about the Unites, totally cool. Did we get any questions on those? You got a pretty good close-up on them with that side shape and stuff. Okay. All right. There's another view coming through. But these work out really good. This allows us to see Jordan as he's out on the course, mixed up with the other cars, and when he's coming to the pit. And there's Jeff's shocker again. So you can see it a little bit better, not in the dust, right? You can see the other white light that's up on the top of it.
Yeah, and it probably didn't need to be on here. But
Right. But
I
you
have
got
it
it.
on so it's memorized on the switch.
And it makes for a good
so
picture.
it turns on with it, in case I forget.
Nice. Okay, so there's some of the smaller bumper lights. I think these actually happen to be Baja
These are Baja designs.
designs, similar to what Vision X has, and there's plenty of different light brands out there. But this is my preference: the down low, and then you can also run a center light bar. But I'm not crazy about these up here. They're just gonna light the dust right in front of your face.
Andrew is. That was Andrew's custom.
Yeah, I know.
And another note is these are not made to be your lights on the back, to be your amber on the back in place of a chase bar.
On all the time.
Yeah, because sometimes he has the same set in the back and he likes to run them. You can't even follow him.
Oh, too
you're getting
bright.
blinded.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, because that needs to be more of a flood than
Yes.
like a. Yeah. So, okay. So speaking of in the back, we're all running one of these, what they call a chase bar. These are really small. We have some pictures of them on here.
There's a.
There we go.
Yeah.
So you can tuck them in a nice spot, get them out of the way, but you can see compared to even bright LED taillights, getting that light up high out of the dust really makes a difference. So if you're going to be out doing that stuff with a bunch of people, this is a great way to go.
The Vision X one's super nice because you wire it into blinkers, you can wire it into brake lights, and it has the strobe.
So that works out really nice. And I think the next picture is with, Kelly's got it.
Kelly's got it,
Yeah.
too.
And they're in the middle where it's dark is a white backup or cargo area light. So that's nice. And again, you can see it's real compact. So, but even in the daytime compared to the taillights, which are super bright, it's showing up pretty good. So, all right. So any questions on chase bars?
No.
Jeff, got anything there?
What chase bar do you prefer on a Jeep? Obviously I prefer the Vision X chase bar.
Yeah, and I think you got to figure out, I use the amber flashing. I like that flashing light. It helps to get people's attention, but they do have a static one. So this is everything on, right? Here's that white section that when it was dead. But you want it where once it's, you start turning on the lights, whether it's the brake lights or the running lights or whatever, you want all that extra light coming on. So Vision X makes it pretty easy. They come with these nice little tabs that are pretty easy to mount. And but there's other brands out there, So this one just happens to work pretty good for us. And they come in 2 different lengths, I think, like 24 and 30.
Yeah. And actually that was the big thing, that the Vision X actually fits between here on our cages.
So
Where the other ones are a couple inches longer.
Oh.
So you'd have to kind of figure it out.
yeah, and I don't know if you can see it, but both on Jeff's and Kelly's, and even all of ours, they're tucked in, so you can't hit them. They're if you rolled over, that's completely protected.
Yeah.
So
every light on our Jeeps is protected in case of a rollover. There's nothing like a good rollover where there's a yard sale and you're picking
up light parts. Yeah.
Taping your lights to the bumper.
There's
That's
a
not good.
question about rear light bars on YouTube. Street legal? I want the one with the blue light.
No, you're definitely going to get a ticket with that one. That is reserved for the
You
police.
can use it. If you're going to run it on the street, you can wire your third brake light to be there.
Yes.
That's about it.
Yeah, that's about it. So like I turn my entire light bar off because I've got the flashing amber, and I look like a cop.
Yeah,
so
like I have the switch on the dash that turns on the rear light bar.
Yeah.
Basically.
yeah, so you got to be careful.
And I
about that.
believe most of them use amber because you can see that better than blue through the dust.
Yeah. Yep. Deb, anything? You okay over there?
Yeah, BB Tom got a chase bar for a Jeep with a top.
Some people just put them in the back window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's where Andrews is. You can see them through there.
Yeah.
Through the back window.
You can definitely see it through the window.
But if not, I know a lot of people run, I think Rigid makes one that's about this big.
Well, and like you were talking about, some people just put the little cube lights back here.
Yeah, those are just crazy bright.
They're bright, yeah.
But there's a few companies that sell one that's just like 6 to 8 inches, and they fit really well at the top of our tire carrier.
Ah.
So you just get a tube clamp and put them there and wire them down kind of the same path as your license plate light.
There you go.
And they work very well.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, pretty cool. Okay, taillights. This is always a popular topic. So let's set these toward the back again. And when it comes to taillights, you're all familiar. I don't know where our JL one is, but it's bigger and dorkier.
Adam Pfeiffer just jumped on. He said, well, hello, it's been a minute since I've been here. Let's talk lights.
Yeah.
He's the king of lights.
Yeah.
He loves lights.
Loves them all on at the same
I
time.
think he was the guy that probably got lights before Locker came.
So you're all familiar with your standard taillight. This is what most likely came on most people's Jeep. These are big, you know, and whether you have a JL or a JK or whatever, they're even bigger than this. These are made of a plastic that if you even touch it, it's gonna shatter. Yeah, they're cheap. You know, you can pick them up pretty cheap nowadays.
Yeah, but that means they're old and even more brittle.
Yeah, and I think these, you know, came out in the 60s, and they should have been retired back then. So, yeah, not good. Big, nasty. So, for a long time, we replaced them with these, and which are much thinner, right? Which gives you a whole bunch more room on the back. These are also potted, so that means that if you hit it, it's not going to break like this one. The moment this touches a branch or a rock or anything, it's going to shatter. This was incandescent, this is LED, and I don't know if we can, no, that one's all plugged on, but you can shine this one. So let's,
You wanna hold it?
yeah, I got it. And these have built-in side marker lights. That's the backup. I think that's the main. There we go. Nice and bright, and you can see the side marker. So, this is, you know, that's considered a really nice, it's a good deep red, and then the running light. So, yeah, so that gives you an idea. Now, we have come up with our own version, and this is kind of the next generation right here of what we're doing with tail lights. This is even thinner, so you can see it's even thinner, and also potted. And let's go ahead and hook it up.
These aren't side specific.
They are not. That's right. You can flip
You
them.
can flip them over, switch the logo around. That's a little thing that goes in here.
Yep.
So you don't have to worry about that.
Yep. And it also has a side marker. Yep. That's what we were just talking about. It's got built-in backups. These are DOT legal.
Which I think are the
So there you go. That looks like running.
Let's try reverse.
Reverse. And I don't know if you could tell, but this whole thing's kind of lit up around the edge, which is pretty cool too. And brake, very bright, more than enough light. So, like I said, DOT legal and really nice.
And they are super tough. I think me and Jamie have been putting them through the paces for about a year now. And, I have a few scratches, but I haven't been through one yet.
That's good. That's good. And I've got these on aftershock, so I like them on there. We made those little bezels. So, yep. Any questions on this stuff?
Nope.
Wow, man. Okay. These are all nice upgrades. So let's keep blasting through here and see what we got. Oh, here's a good shot of us wheeling at night.
Oh, that's a great
That was the last time we were out at Trail Hero, right? That night run.
Very cool.
So this, we stumbled onto this. What was the name of that trail? It was something we weren't supposed to be on. A 9. Yeah. And I'm out there in the JL, which is like a,
we're sitting around the fire and you go, you want to go get into something? And then just walk to your Jeep. So I think me and Jamie were the only ones that just hopped up and went.
But this climb was like backdoor. You had to hit it and like hang on. So
it was grippier than backdoor, but the steepness
was there.
Definitely.
Yeah. So a lot of fun. When I went to get up on that, my empty tire carrier dug into the sand, so I knew it was steep. Yeah.
I think that's when Jamie backed up, gave you a little room.
Lots of fun. Okay, so on Terremoto, this is where I've got the bumper lights and then that center light as well. And talking about headlights, the Vision X makes their version of the LED headlight in the 7-inch, and that is those two lights alone. If you do their all-on feature, it's a separate plug-in that does high and low at the same time, is the equivalent of a 50-inch light bar. So there's a lot of light. Looks like Deb's got a question.
Mark Lawrence is asking, who do those new square LED tails mount? Maybe he means where?
Yeah, so on a TJ, YJ, CJ, LJ, they're all flat on the back. These mount right on there. We are changing our JK corner guards to, instead of having the round recess, we're going to change it to this pattern so that these will now fit our JK, JL, and so forth.
Same bolt spread though.
It is the same bolt spread. So the two bolt patterns on these two lights, which actually is also the same bolt pattern on the stock light, is the standard for.
Super easy to mount.
Super easy to
You
mount.
just might need if you're coming from this, you need a 4 or 5 pin flash.
Yeah, and what you could do, if you want, is you can cut this connector off and rewire so you still have the ability to plug and unplug it by butt connecting.
Yeah.
The wires to that.
Probably the way I should have done it.
Yeah, me too. So, I was in more of a hurry than that.
Same.
So, any other questions right now?
People are just asking how they mount, so I think you just addressed that.
They all mount with the same 2 bolts?
Yeah, they do. And I guess we don't have the 2 bolts out here, but they use Allen head bolts, and there's the back of the body is threaded, and they just screw right in.
Yeah.
Super easy.
So if you have a TJ, YJ, we'll just unmount these, and these mount in the same holes.
So to unmount this, you literally take off this pattern, and the bolts are right inside, and they come right through right here. So it's the same pattern on it, all of them.
That. You just put a hammer.
They might already be shattered, so. Jeff was telling me about a story that his didn't make it long before he slid back and ran into a tree.
Yep, I owned the Jeep for less than a week.
And I think my first one, in fact, I think the one on our little 4-shock YJ, I swung the tire open and it smashed the light.
It did, but I think we were going to install the lights when that happened. So I think it was fine.
Yeah.
It was fine.
But probably not optimal if they were new.
We have a question. What do you use for wire connectors?
Simple butt connectors are fine, but we've actually got even some nicer stuff that we got from McMaster-Carr. Or Amazon, right? So you get connectors that look like this. Can you zoom in on that, Alex? And you put the wires in from both sides, right? So it's a typical, butt style connector. And you get the right size based on the wire. So like this is probably one for a blue connector. So let's find a blue one. There we go. Okay, then you just, once this is in, you crimp it, and then this is heat shrink. So you just hit it with the shrink gun, and it'll shrink right on here. And this stuff is really flexy and durable, kind of like heat shrink, obviously. And some of them you can get, they're even nicer, that when you hit it with the heat gun, it'll solder the wires together.
Jeff has
Those are
And
nice.
I actually even sleeve it and put a piece of heat shrink
Over the top of that.
Over the top of
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Makes it look a lot
You're
better.
extra nervous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
David Cundy, do the taillights require resistors?
Depends on what vehicle you're putting them on. So let's start at the top. JT, JL that already have the factory LEDs, these go right on, no issue. If you're talking about like down from that, like JK is going to need a resistor. None of those were ever set to come with an LED. Below that, like TJ, LJ, what you need to do is get the digital 5-pin connector, not the analog one, but the digital one, and that cures that problem. And then same on YJ, you can get the 4-pin digital, and CJ the same. So it's really not a big deal. And by the way, the only thing it'll do is if you don't have that, it'll just flash fast.
Hyper flash.
Yeah. So because it thinks the bulb's burned out, the regular incandescent
Which is
bulb.
fine unless you still have your blinker sound.
Right, and then just driving you crazy. Yeah. So great question. What else we got? Got anything over there?
Those taillights fit on a YJ.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
perfectly.
They're on a YJ out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, and we actually, by the way, we sell both of these. Obviously, this is our new one, so we're preferring to sell this. But regardless of what style you like, we've got them in stock, and those are readily available. These are really the best two on the market right now. So
By a mile.
by far,
Yeah.
yeah. So what else we got? More questions, or I'll keep blowing through the
I'm caught up on YouTube. They're giggling about something.
something.
No worries.
I love Shasta. She's hysterical.
Does she have a question?
No, she does not.
It was a comment. It was just funny.
So this is Terremoto in Moab at night, where we were wheeling, so that worked out pretty good.
That's a cool shot.
It is a cool shot.
That's a while ago.
It's a while ago. A few sponsors back.
Yeah, a few
Yeah.
colors back.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll leave it there as we're talking about more to do with rock lights and headlights. So our next topic over tail lights was headlights, and Stephen Birch has got the Vision X. Oh, looks like Debbie's got a question.
Jerome is asking how the rewiring of Banshee and Growler are coming along.
Oh boy.
Headlights work.
Yeah, my Jeep starts. So things are looking up.
They're looking.
We're going forward, not backwards.
Correct.
Yes,
That's
yes.
a good thing. That's a
That
good
is
thing.
good, yeah. They've
Patience,
been working
young
on it
grasshopper.
diligently, yeah. Okay.
There's a YouTube question. One, does the new taillight have a license plate light on it?
So that's a great question. The new taillights don't. Your factory one, actually this is the passenger side, but the factory one had a little clear lens like this on the bottom to light your license plate. So these require an extra light for your license plate, and you'll never guess, but we sell one of those too. And not only is it a license plate light, but it's a third brake light as well. Yep. So, and I don't know, do we have any of those out here? No, I guess not.
I don't think so.
But it's a really small, super efficient, nice, easy to wire. So great question though.
Because most of the time you're moving your license plate from under your light to
The
either
center.
behind your tire,
Yep.
or the center of your tailgate.
Yep.
So we sell kits to fully
Yeah,
back
and I don't.
your
Did we have?
license plate there.
I thought we had a shot in that.
Bathroom.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right there.
So. Yeah. And I think somebody else had one here too. Was it like Kelly? So that's it.
That's the
You can
cleanest
see
way to do it.
how
You can already
tiny
tell
it
it's
is.
there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really, really tiny. And so does the Jeep in front of him. Like they all have the same thing.
We've done a Jeep. It's
We have, yeah. So that's our preferred method right there.
There's one question on YouTube about the Scotia dome lights. Do they need a resistor? I have two, and they both flash.
That's
I don't
strange.
know if it means flicker or
What's
flash.
Scotia
Or,
Downlights?
Might mean SSV, which I thought I had one out here. Didn't I have one out here?
Go grab one.
Yeah. And
but his question is, do they need a resistor?
so they shouldn't. I mean, obviously a resistor would help to cure that. Depending on the Jeep that it's in, you know, the system might be sensitive to the voltage. So, especially if you're running it through the part of the CAN bus, like on a factory switch.
Right, which he didn't specify. It's
Right.
on JK.
Right.
So.
So he might be running it through the factory, like, you know, roll the little headlight thing, you know. So, trying to flash Jamie.
Yep.
So,
To play.
yeah, if you do add a resistor, it'll definitely. You're gonna need to add, you know, like a 10-watt resistor. It'll have to be something pretty big. So,
That's all I got here.
doing good. What? Anything here, Deb?
No, we're caught up.
Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about, which we can just leave it where it's at, is wiring solutions. So let's talk about a Switch Pro. So Switch Pro makes a couple different units, and they're pretty cool. It's very compact. It comes with this solid state power distribution module, and this little keypad just plugs into it right here, and then this set of wires goes out to all the components you want to run. So you can. This is great for rock lights and bumper lights and all kinds of stuff, right?
Yeah, and it's fully programmable. So you actually download an app, it connects to it through Bluetooth, and then you can program all your switches.
Switches, run
You can-
fans.
You can make them monetary. You can make
Oh,
them
that's
on,
right.
off, you can
Yeah,
make them
flash.
on off.
Yeah.
So you could do a blinker on this and time it to be on for 10 seconds.
Yep.
Which what I'm
It's
going to do.
pretty slick.
Yeah.
That's pretty slick. So this is really kind of the latest and greatest. Prior to this was the S-Pod, which was really popular because that was a bunch of rocker switches, but this is even higher tech than that. And works good. Now, since then, they've come out with one that's 12. The module's a little bigger, but it handles more power.
Well, it has 4 outputs that'll handle something like a fan or a starter. Or,
Big stuff.
so
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
So that's pretty
why
cool.
I'm running it. I'm
Yep.
adding this one.
Okay, so if you don't do that, like we saw today in our JL, there's a set of the stock switches that are set up to handle lights and stuff. The JL and the JT come with 4 extra switches to do stuff. And then if you don't do that, you can go back to a standard, you know, toggle or rocker kind of a switch and run a relay,
Switch and relay, yep.
you know, which is more this style, right?
Yeah,
that
that's
we
pretty
were
much what comes with all the Vision X pre-wired
Lights,
stuff.
yeah.
Now you can cut this and wire it into
Something like
Switch
that,
Pros, which
yes.
is what most of us have done.
Yeah, yeah. So this, what Vision X does is they give you what they call a plug and play, so you can literally connect it and have lights today, right?
Yeah.
Rather than having to work through a whole system. Yeah, Deb.
Brian Carafa is asking who of the GenRight crew has the best or biggest light system and best sound system in their Jeeps.
Well, Andrew has the most lights by a mile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He could
That's for
he
sure.
could light up Mall of America parking garage.
And I used to have a kick butt sound system before I decided to race Terremoto.
Mine's the best. It only works with my headphones on.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Mine.
not
That's how
Bluetooth.
mine's set up too. Other than that, sound system.
Probably Andrew again. He's got the JBL on.
Yeah, he
I don't
does.
know.
Probably Andrew.
You can hear Keith rocking out to music from 2 blocks
Yeah.
That's
away when he
true.
comes in.
That's
Yeah.
true.
So I don't know what-
Keith
I know
always-
Grayson Beck, he's not necessarily one of our tight internal crew, but Grayson Beck has a good sound system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a few guys for sure.
Yeah.
But usually once we start getting into building them more and engine swaps, the sound system just kind of goes far
Becomes
away.
less. It's
Yeah.
taking up space.
More
That
wiring, it's taking more
Anything
power.
That, yeah, anything that doesn't.
Yeah, like I still have a sound system in the JL. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's your Overlander.
Right.
Kelly said that Yellow Jacket would blow you away.
Oh, yeah, Yellow Jacket has a sound system. You've been in that, honey. You and Sonia were
Oh, yeah.
rocking out in there.
I haven't
Oh,
seen Yellow Jacket
yeah.
in 2 years.
I know. Well,
That
he
was
got some
driving
new.
up to Kennedy
He got some
Meadows.
new tires for it, so now he's
Yeah.
ripping. Yeah. So, yep. Okay, what else we got? Yep.
Rock lights. So many people put rock lights high up in the fender. Others put them on the frame in front and behind the tires. Is there a good reason to have them on the underside of the fender?
I mean, I would say as more of a work light, right? Because otherwise it's going to cast a shadow as it goes around the tire.
Yeah.
So,
And a lot of it's about like the light getting smashed or like tire contact.
Yeah.
It has a lot to
So-
do with where you put it.
Yeah, so it can be tricky. Like, you do want it protected as possible. I think that's why a lot of people end up with them under the fender, because we have our fender tube protecting them, but then it is just lighting up the tire.
yeah. And, you know, it also depends on what you're doing. Like, when we went to Jeep Beach, everybody's just in a big parking lot with their lights on for, you know, and most of them are colored lights and stuff. They're not even like off-roading, right? So it just depends on where you are and what you're doing. If you just want, you know, accessory light, then cool, you know. I'm more of, I want everything practical and functional myself. So yeah, Jeff said same.
Off topic, what PSI are you running the 40-inch Mickey Thompsons at on the LJs? Let's give them wheeling and street.
Yeah, so my preference is to start out at like 7 and let it go up to 8 or 9. And then on the street, the proper tire pressure, according to Mickey Thompson, is 25 PSI.
So that depends if you're running beadlocks, how much that can hold.
Yeah, if they're rated for that.
Yep.
You know, you can certainly, on a 40-inch, you can do 20 pounds and be fine, you know, if you're not going far. The pressure in the tire dissipates heat. So that's why a truck tire is 110 or 120 PSI. It's because it creates a lot more heat going down the road. So if it's not very hot, you can run 20 pounds, no problem. If it's hot, you got to get up a little higher to help dissipate the heat. But great question. Yep.
I pretty much run mine whatever I show up to the event at.
I had to air up Terremoto the other night. He was still sitting on like 6. So
I think for our Real Hammers experience, that's when I was particular with them.
yeah.
And I think whatever's still left in them.
And now, so I'll tell you this. And I don't know if we had another picture here. I play with my tire pressure. So here's a good example. So I might run 6 in the front and 8 in the rear. But what I'm looking for is I want the tire to bite, but not hop, right? I want it to spin if it's going to do anything, to crawl. So, and then I would increase the tire pressure 2 pounds until I achieve that. So if you're trying to find the optimal for your vehicle, that's how I would do it. So, yep. What do you got, Deb?
Doyle Bartlett is looking for his daughter's Jeep JK Vision X headlights. Are they plug and play, nothing else needed, anti-flicker, ? Like on my JW speaker lights?
Yeah, so when a lot of the LED headlights came out first, they didn't have the anti-flicker and all that. All that's built in now. So anything you buy today is all plug and play. And if you look on our website, there's a specific part number for JK and a specific part number for TJ, which also falls into CJ, YJ. So it's just a different style connector on there. And then you'll get the right thing and it'll be everything you need. The only thing that's an option, and they make it an option because it's not street legal, is what they call the all-on connector. So when you are running your regular lights and you hit the brights, it still leaves the regular low beams on, so you get everything.
You get a ton of light.
It's a ton of light, and I like it. That's what I have, how mine are set up, so. Yep. What else you got, Deb?
Val suggests that Shasta would like music in the growler for her wedding present. So she said, what do you think? Can we make this happen?
Do they not have music through the intercom?
I don't know, they never have their headsets
No,
on
yeah,
anyway.
Jamie-
Oh, yeah,
He
he's
uses headsets,
anti
so-
everything,
yeah.
right? Yeah. So I got him one of the MRB2 systems that plugs into the rocker switch. Did you ever see that? It's
yeah.
slick. It's here in the studio.
I installed one of those during my Jeep build, and I just took it out. Because I never hooked it up.
Shasta
never
wants
bothered
you to
buy
put a
speakers.
stereo in the growler.
Well, she wants a stereo system from the viewers for a wedding present.
Jamie's answer was no.
He's milking this wedding present.
Yeah. Okay. He's anti-stereo. He wants to listen to the music of the motor.
Yeah.
What do you got, Deb?
Marty Thenel, I'm running an electric fan on an 06 LJ 4.0. I get a voltage drop when the fan is running and I hit my ARB compressor. Is that a basic wiring problem? Yes. Would you recommend a Switch Pro for that scenario?
So you're going to be faced with a couple of things. One is, I think you need to up the gauge of the wire you're using. Fans draw a lot more. So let me back up. Anything on 12 volts, every foot you travel, you're getting a voltage loss, okay? So one of the toughest challenges we have in a Jeep is a fuel pump. So if you put in a bigger fuel pump that draws more amps, that's so far away from the battery that it has a hard time. Now, the good news is if your battery's in the factory location, it's close to the fans, so you want to keep those wires as short as possible. So even though it might come with a long harness, you want to cut that down to just what you need, because every foot you get voltage drop. So that's important. Then you want the biggest wire. Now, don't get welding cable, but you need a good gauge wire to handle that kind of amperage, and you'll notice a significant performance difference on that.
Yeah, we just had mine from, I think it was 2 gauge, and then we went to 1/0.
On the main battery cable.
Yeah, the main battery cable.
Yeah.
And it was running, like now when I started, it's like 14.8.
Yeah, so Jamie was saying he just upped his main battery cable from 2 to 1 or 0 watt. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, but it's giant, and he noticed a big difference in the overall voltage to 14 what?
14.8.
14.8. So it's significant.
That is with the magnet on.
And that's also with nothing on, right? So the moment the fans turn on, it drags it all back down.
Yeah. He did install a high output alternator.
Alternator, yeah. So that's another thing you can do as well. So, and a lot of us are running dual batteries as well, so that also bulks up the whole system. So those are all good suggestions to help that gentleman. What else?
Mark Lawrence is asking if you can explain the tire hop versus spin with different tire pressures.
Yeah. So say for instance you get on an obstacle, you have all 4 wheels on this obstacle. Maybe we have a better picture of an obstacle. Say it's even something like this. So what you want is you want to be able to drive the vehicle forward to crawl, and you want all 4 tires to be able to spin, and then you can kind of use the steering wheel to guide your vehicle to find some traction. Now, typically what happens is especially the rear start to bite and hop. You have more weight back there, and you need to avoid that. That puts a tremendous strain on everything from the axle shaft to the ring and pinion all the way up.
Breaks.
It's how things break. So, and if your vehicle should ever hop like that, you need to stop right away. If you have a clutch, push it in. If you have an automatic, you need to stop. And you're probably on the wrong line anyways, because typically when you're on the right line, it just walks right through. So, but you can up the tire pressure to get that where it won't do that anymore. And it's crazy, just a few pounds, and on the exact same obstacle, you'll find then you can smoothly drive through. So that's what I was talking about.
Kelly's asking, what is the best alternator?
What you guys have, Mechman?
We have Mechman.
And I'm running DC power. So they're, it just depends. They're once you go to that upgraded alternator, you're going to get better bearings, you're going to get better quality, higher amps. It's definitely worth the money over a stock unit. So stock unit was made for a car. So those pretty much suck.
Or truck.
Or maybe a truck.
LT.
Truck's better than a car. So, but cars these days, they got a lot of stuff in them that power, they're running electric fans and air conditioning and, stuff that draws a lot of power windows. They got power everything nowadays. Seats, heated seats and whole thing. So what else you got?
Let's see. Sky Covington, on the subject of fans, on my 98 ZJ with the 5.2 liter, I'm switching from the mechanical fan to an electric. Will the fan and shroud from the 3.8 liter JK pull enough air to keep the engine cool enough?
Probably not. I know there are some folks out there that believe the
3.8
JK
liter,
electric fan and shroud
98
are
ZJ with
like
5.2
unbelievable. They're pretty good, and a lot of people used to go get the Ford Taurus fan. But here's what I want you to think about. The JK fan that you're referring to is made for a 3.6 liter engine. You've got a 5.2. So I'm going to tell you right away, it's not big enough. So that's what you need. It's almost impossible to beat a mechanical fan. So unless you're having trouble with the mechanical fan or you need the room, like something else changed, the mechanical fan is king for sure. Now, does it rob horsepower from motor? Sure, but it also doesn't let it get hot. So, and like in our case, every time we've gone to an electric fan, we've had to do 2.
Yes.
So, beside the fact that that's a great backup, right? So if one fails, you still got something to get you to
Yeah, you still blame the
limp
motor.
along. Yeah. So, because trust me, if that fan stops, you're going nowhere. Nowhere.
10 feet at a time. I've been there.
Yeah. So,
Anthony Paquette commented that Mean Green has a high output replacement for the factory JK alternator.
yep. And I used to have a mean green on the Growler for a long time. So, yep.
Okay, we're caught up.
All right. Well, we're down to like the last few minutes. So if you guys that are watching, guys and gals, have any other last minute questions, please fire them in. And we're happy to talk about that. So the only other thing that we brought out was something like this, which was, if you're going to run the standard stuff, like a standard rocker switch or toggle, you can get these little fuse blocks like this. I think Jamie got this off Amazon or something. They have a nice little cover, and they have a negative section and a positive section, so you can fuse every single one. It gives you the ability to label everything, and these are just nice. So if you need to rewire your vehicle, I suggest that you get something like this, label it, and it'll save you a lot of headache when you're out there troubleshooting stuff.
It's a blue sea. It's marine grade.
This one is?
Yeah, blue
Yeah.
sea.
Blue Sea.
And put it somewhere accessible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't bury it. And by the way, you guys have heard me say this 1,000 times, get all that crap out of the engine compartment. I don't want anything in there. I don't even want your battery in there. So that heat, it just thrashes everything. All of the relays, everything that's under that hood just runs hot and performs poorly. And by the way, when electrical components run hot, they pull more power. So you really got to avoid that. Looks like Deb's got another question.
We got 2 questions. John Miller would like to know what your preference is for mechanical fan blades.
I mean, I've always just run the stock stuff. I know there's Flexolite and some of that other stuff out there, but unless you're doing like high RPM, that's where one of those fans comes in. But in most applications, I was really talking about like a standard 4 liter or 4.2 or 3.8 or whatever Jeep engine. It's hard to beat those mechanical fans. Yep.
Frank Schicitano, do you have a recommended battery clamp replacement? My stock JK one broke and doesn't get tight anymore.
Yeah, over at the auto parts store, and I've seen them in pretty much every auto parts store I've stopped at around the country, they have the J bolts, and they make an expandable plastic clamp. I've seen a coated metal one. There's a few out there that are decent. Just replace the whole thing. I think it's $20 and you'll be in good shape. What else you got, Jim?
YouTube. Somebody asked, what will you ground to the chassis, and what will you run a direct ground to from the battery?
There's a good question. So the question was ground to the chassis or ground to the battery. If the battery, which it should be, is properly grounded to both the body and the chassis, and by the way, a bad ground is probably the most common electrical problem. So you need to check those. You need to make sure that they're good and clean. A lot of the time I'll pull them off, I'll sand them, and I'll bolt them back on. The ground strap or the big ground cable. You want those well grounded, and a little dielectric grease If you don't have any dielectric grease, you can just use regular grease. Just keep it from corroding, and that'll really help. So then, we're talking about like fans or other components like ECU. So the factory and all aftermarket ECU manufacturers want they want those things to go straight to the battery. So the battery is a filter. So what happens is if you run things through the chassis, you're likely to pick up alternator noise or other things. So if you go straight to the battery, that filters a lot of that noise. So the race radio, the GPS, a lot of these things you really want to go straight to the battery, the ECU especially. So the other stuff, fans and stuff, they create noise, so I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, hopefully that answers the question. Yep.
Jim Dexter has an 05 TJ with an 8.8 rear with an Aussie locker. Can you explain how the Aussie locker works, please?
So the Aussie, that's similar to Detroit, if I remember right.
I thought so.
Yeah, so it's a quarter turn, and what it does is in that quarter turn, it's got some little dogs inside that hook together, and this is very similar to like a mountain bike freewheel. So the moment you pedal, it locks these things together. Same with your drive shaft, and it does a quarter turn of the drive shaft forward or a quarter turn of the drive shaft backward, and it hooks. So it's a very simple system. It's very reliable, and those are great. That's we commonly know them as the Detroit locker, and I've run them forever, and I run them because they're dead reliable. So if you're over the air and you're over the electric, that's the way to go. So, yep. What else you got?
Byron Roberts, what's the best mount to move the battery to the rear floorboard of an LJ?
Yeah, so depending on the battery you get, whether it's an Odyssey or an Optima, both of those companies make their own mounts. And I know, CarTech and Summit and Jegs, and yeah, there's a bunch of them out there that, somebody's laser designed and stuff.
Sometimes we make our own.
And sometimes we just make our own. But I'll remind you, I want that battery mounted as low as possible. If you can get it on the floorboard behind the seats, get that thing down low.
And then make sure you build something to cover the terminals.
Yeah, you got to make sure that, if there's a wrench floating around or something, that nothing can short that thing out. The other thing that when we were just talking about things that go straight to the battery, your winch is one of those things that should be wired straight to the battery.
That can't even run through the switch.
No. That is such high power. It's several hundred amps.
Takes a whole guy.
Yeah. So I've actually, depending on what you're winching, you can actually kill the motor because it's drawing so much power. So, yeah, the winch is definitely. I didn't want to forget that one.
That's why I let other people hook up to me.
Question on YouTube: what backspacing is best to fit 35 by 12.5 on a stock JK Rubicon to keep the scrub radius as close to factory? 4.5 or 4.25?
Well, 4.5 would be the best, but it's probably going to be more like 4-inch to actually make it so the guy can turn. So he might even have to go 4 or like 3 3/4. Most of the time when I see that put on, they really got to space them out to keep everything from rubbing. So but
It's a game of sacrifice with a stock axle.
yeah. So until you go wider, bigger, that's what you're faced with. Yep. What else you got?
Do you have anything?
No.
When adding an auxiliary fan, is there a way to set a desired fan speed without using a fan controller? Trying to add an extra fan that will run at 50% all the time.
That's an interesting concept. I know both you and Jeff have messed around with putting the second fan on a switch, that you can just fire up whenever you want.
Yeah, but always at full power.
Yeah. So
Rather than running it at 50% all the time, he could just wire it to a switch or something, right?
A switch or put it on, a thermostat, that's part of the cooling system. Those are simple. You can wire them right in. And that's what I would do. Then it's kind of automatic. And my feeling is when I turn anything on, I want it at 100%. I don't care if it's my blower motor from my Parker pumper. So if it's on, it's on.
My Parker pumper thing, the little adjuster thing, I just ripped that.
Yeah, just hardwire
power
it.
going
Yeah,
full
I know. I'm like, why do you want to
can
turn it
imagine
down?
running
Like, come on.
25% air
Yeah,
coming
like,
down
no
my
way, no way. Yeah. Other than it's less noisy. That's the only reason. But then turn
At
it
that
off.
point,
Turn it off.
yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, we're down to like the last minute. What else we got? Deb, Jamie, anything?
Caught up.
We are?
Any questions?
Awesome.
Facebook side.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. We hope we enlightened you on some of this
I see what you did there.
electrical stuff. And made you think about the type of light before you just throw one on there. So, anyways, we're always here and answering the phone. So, if you have any more questions and aren't sure what to choose when you're going to buy one, let us know, and we're happy to help out. We'll